You know that feeling when you stare at your laptop for 3 hours, desperately wanting to work, but your body just won't? When scrolling through your phone takes less energy than getting out of bed, when even replying to a simple text message feels like climbing a mountain, that's not laziness. That's your body screaming that something is seriously wrong. Here's what's going to change everything. 73% of people who call themselves lazy are actually living with extreme emotional tiredness. Their brain isn't broken, it's protecting them from something way more dangerous than unfinished work. And you've been beating yourself up for something that's keeping you alive. You've been there, right? Lying in bed at 2 p.m., hating yourself, watching everyone else manage their lives while you can barely send an email, wondering what's wrong with you. But what if every time you blamed yourself for being lazy, something else was happening that your brain was hiding from you? Here's the truth. Your brain called your emotional exhaustion laziness because laziness is easier to understand. Laziness feels like a personality problem you can fix with willpower. But a emotional exhaustion, that's your entire system shutting down, and willpower can't touch it. Most people stop here, but we keep digging because the moment you couldn't get out of bed or start that project, your body wasn't being weak. It was being smart. It was protecting you from complete collapse. In the next few minutes, you'll understand why your brain sabotages you at the worst times, why willpower fails when you need it most, and why the smartest, most driven people struggle with this the hardest. Let's go deeper. You're about to understand what was really happening every time you called yourself lazy. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's what's actually happening in your brain. Every decision you make, every emotion you handle, every conversation you have, it all costs energy. Real, actual fuel that your brain needs to function. And society has convinced you that this fuel tank never runs out. Most people believe willpower is unlimited, but here's the truth. The part of your brain that handles decisions, self-control, and planning, it runs on limited fuel. When that fuel runs out, you don't become lazy. You literally can't make yourself do things anymore. Emotional exhaustion isn't a mindset problem. It's a body crisis. Your stress hormones spike. Your body enters the same state it would if you were running from danger, except the danger is your life, and there's nowhere to run. Let me show you the emotional breaking point process happening to you right now. Stage 1, constant low-level stress. Your body never fully relaxes. You're always on. Stage 2, every choice gets harder. Even deciding what to eat feels heavy. Stage 3, you can't control your emotions. You snap at loved ones. Small problems feel huge. Stage 4, complete shutdown. This is what you call laziness. Your brain literally can't access the parts responsible for motivation and action. Here's where it gets crazy. A 2019 study found that high achievers experience emotional exhaustion 340% more than average people, not because they're weaker, because they're running their bodies at maximum speed for too long without proper rest. You're not lazy, you're overworked on the inside. Wait, your brain learned to shut you down to keep you alive. Every time you've failed to push through, your subconscious was preventing your entire system from collapsing. The thing you've been hating yourself for, it literally saved you. Think about the last time you called yourself lazy. What was actually happening? Were you dealing with loss, managing a difficult relationship, carrying responsibilities nobody else could see? That wasn't laziness. That was your emotional defense system fighting an infection you didn't even know you had. If you understand this, you're in the top 5%. Most people spend their lives at war with their own body, never realizing they're fighting the wrong enemy. But here's what they don't want you to know. Let's look at a pattern you've probably lived. Someone quits their stable job to chase their dream. Everyone's excited. 6 months later, they can barely get out of bed. Friends whisper, maybe they're just lazy. But here's what really happened. They were experiencing Identity change exhaustion. When you change your life dramatically, your brain has to rebuild its entire understanding of reality. That process eats massive amounts of emotional energy. Add in the invisible work, managing others' disappointment, hiding doubt, looking confident while being terrified inside. That's not laziness. That's trying to run a marathon while rebuilding the road under your feet. Most people stop here, but we keep digging. Society rewards people who hide their exhaustion. Well, the better you hide it, the more work gets piled on you. Until one day, you can't hide it anymore. And instead of seeing it as the natural result of carrying too much for too long, everyone, including you, calls it weakness. Here's what's messed up. The most emotionally exhausted people are often the most aware. They see problems others miss. They carry emotional weight for entire groups. They process not just their own feelings, but everyone else's too. You're not lazy because you're weak. You're exhausted because you're strong enough that people keep piling weight on you, and you've been trained to smile and carry it. Over 2 million people have had this exact realization. That moment when you stop calling it laziness and start calling it what it is: complete exhaustion from doing too much emotional work for too long with too little support. But wait, here's the part that changes everything. Your brain doesn't know the difference between physical danger and emotional danger. To your body, a harsh email triggers the same response as a physical attack every single time.
Hmm.
So, and when you couldn't respond to that message, couldn't finish that project, your body was in survival mode. And in that state, you literally cannot think clearly or take action. You weren't being lazy. You were being hunted by your own life. Let's clarify something most people confuse: emotional exhaustion versus depression versus burnout. Depression, a chemical imbalance affecting your ability to feel joy or hope. Burnout, constant work stress leading to cynicism and reduced performance. Emotional exhaustion, your system running out of fuel from constant emotional work without proper rest. Here's what they don't want you to realize. If you treat emotional exhaustion like laziness, you make it worse. If you treat it like depression, you might miss the real causes. If you treat it like burnout, you might quit a job that isn't even the problem. Try this right now. It's called the physiological sigh. 2 deep breaths in through your nose, then 1 long breath out through your mouth. Do it twice. That just reset your body faster than any amount of trying harder ever could. That's the difference between fighting your body and working with it. Here's your real action plan. Step 1, recognize. Instead of judge, when you feel lazy, ask, what emotional work am I dealing with right now? What invisible weight am I carrying? Step 2, the energy check. Track for 3 days. What actually drains you? Social events, decisions, conflict, uncertainty. Step 3, build rest habits. Match your rest to what drained you. Mental tiredness needs mental rest. Emotional tiredness needs emotional processing. You can't Netflix your way out of emotional exhaustion. I know what you're thinking, but I don't have time for rest. That's the trap. You're so exhausted you can't see that your lack of rest is why everything takes longer. A well-rested body completes in 2 hours what an exhausted one struggles with all day. Rest isn't a luxury. It's how you perform better. Here's your challenge. For the next 48 hours, every time you think, I should be doing more, replace it with, what does my body actually need right now? Most people won't do this because it requires admitting that rest is productive, that your body's signals are smarter than your self-criticism. But you're not most people. You came here thinking you had a laziness problem. You're leaving understanding that you've been fighting the wrong battle your entire life. Your laziness was actually your body doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from total collapse. Every time you pushed through exhaustion and called it discipline, you were teaching your body that its warnings don't matter. No wonder you feel disconnected from yourself. You've been overriding your internal alarm system for years. Now, if you watched our video about why smart kids feel lost, here's what I didn't tell you. The reason you feel lost isn't just because you're smart. It's because you have a hidden trait that makes you see reality differently. A trait that can make you magnetic or make you feel like a complete outsider. That's what we're breaking down next. The hidden trait that makes you magnetic and you don't know you have it. Why certain people attract opportunities and success seemingly without trying, while others, just as talented, struggle in the shadows. But here's what I haven't figured out yet. If emotional exhaustion disguises itself as laziness so well that even you can't tell the difference, what other parts of yourself are you completely misunderstanding? Drop in the comments. What have you been calling a character flaw that might actually be something completely different? Because if you're serious about actually changing how you understand yourself, this is where it starts, with brutal honesty about what's really happening beneath the surface. Let's go deeper, together. What's behind your exhaustion isn't a flaw, it's a feature. And understanding it is the first step toward working with yourself instead of against yourself. I'll see you in the next one.